with his head. This is Plathville, Season 5. All right, to begin with, I'm playing around with a bunch of settings on my computer, so I'm hoping that maybe the lighting and sound will be a little bit better than it was before, and there'll be less glare on my glasses, which I need to read because I'm old. Senior perspective. So let me know the feedback and what you think about this new setup. I can still tweak more, so give me your honest feedback. If you hate it and you liked it better the other way, all right, I'm open. Okay, as it stands right now, I don't know what it looks like. There's pros and cons to this new setup. All right, let's go. This episode opens up with Kim doing a talking head, which was an attention grabber right at the beginning, because this is what she says. I would rather be in a small house with people who love me than in a big, beautiful house with somebody that doesn't treat me well. This one run-on sentence, actually it's not a run-on, but anyway, this one long sentence is packed with information. Let's just break it down for a second. I would rather be, okay, so she's visiting their family home that they bought after the series began. They had a nice, big, beautiful home on a farm for many, many, many years, and then they came into TLC money, and they went ahead and they bought this other big, beautiful home in the same town that Ethan and Olivia lived in, which really irked Olivia. So Kim is reflecting on how much she misses this big, beautiful house that she used to live in when she's there, but then cuts to the talking head that says, I would much rather live in a small house with people who love me than in a big house. And she didn't say without people who love me, because then she caught herself and realized, that's not going to sound good. It's not going to play well with my audience. And she said, with somebody that doesn't treat me well. So, first of all, there's nobody that lives in her small house. It's not even a house. It's like a dance studio with an apartment above it that she lives in. But it's small, comparatively, of course. And nobody else lives there. Unless, is it Ken? Is that his name? Does he live there now? I don't think so. I don't think he lives there. So the comment itself doesn't make a whole lot of sense, really, if you analyze it. But for her to come right out and say that Barry didn't treat her well, I don't know. There's one thing to say somebody didn't treat you well, and it's another thing to say, I felt emotionally abandoned by this person. Because from everything that we can see on camera, again, camera doesn't show everything, but from the reaction of all the kids to their father, and from everything we've seen on the show, it seems like Barry's a pretty good guy. He seems really nice. He seems like he was very hardworking. I think Barry's going to be upset, and I think her kids are going to be upset when they see this episode and see that she is putting out there worldwide, Barry doesn't treat her well. So we cut to her going in the house, and she was bringing some of the little girls back who were visiting her. So she was talking with them in their bedroom and that, and I cannot let this pass without saying her new attire that she's wearing. Now, she was very frumpy before. I'll give you that. She wasn't the most fashionable or stylish person. However, I will take that frump well over what she's investing in these days. She wears the tightest tops, fuchsia pink, bright pinks, inappropriate teenage 16-year-old girl colors. Not even 16. We're talking more middle school colors. By the time my kids were 16, they were over the pink phase. But most of all, her skirts are so short, so inappropriately short. And she is not like a tall, lanky girl with these long legs or even short legs that are skinny and that. She's chunky, let's face it. I'm chunky. I get it. I'm not as chunky as Kim. And I would never wear a skirt that short.
And pull down that skirt.
It's not just that it's inappropriate, it's downright gross to me. Okay, it's just my opinion. Maybe you love her attire. Maybe you embrace the fact that she's finding her new self and all that. And maybe it's that she lived a life of crazy, wild life before she met Barry and decided to turn to this. So it's not like she was raised in a bubble or in a cult or something her whole life and now she's breaking away. She had a life that she admitted was wild and free and crazy all the way up until the time she met Barry. So the need to do this, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I feel like Kim's about the same age as me, and so I just don't understand. I don't. How can you, I understand you want to be free, but how can you be so completely unaware of what you look like? That short just makes her legs look shorter and chunkier. She needs something to elongate herself. I know this. I'm a short person. I'm 5'4". My legs are about the same size as my daughter's legs, but my daughter's taller than me. Looks good on her. I cannot pull off the same attire she does. Granted, we're different ages, so I shouldn't be able to either. She needs a good friend to just give her advice and say, Kim, it's like she's screaming out for attention here, but it's not the right kind of attention. And why does she need attention? She already has another guy. She's got Ken. Okay, you can judge me all you want. Maybe you don't agree with any of that. It's okay. I can take it. This is just my opinion. This is my channel. It's my opinion. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right. I'm just telling you my instant reaction. I right away wrote, her short skirts are inappropriate and uncomfortable for me to see. That's what I wrote on my notes as I was watching the episode. So I just have to say it. It's what I was thinking. Let me know if you were thinking anything the same too. Or if you think I'm completely out of line and should keep my opinion to myself when it comes to people's attire. She goes on to say something extremely condescending about Barry. She says that this new setup with the separation, it's forcing him to step up and be an involved parent, which is good. She said it's so condescending too.
The days that I have the girls, it's really wonderful. And then when they're with dad, it's forcing him to step up and be an involved parent, which is good.
It may be true. Barry may have been in his own little world of just like, let me focus, let me make the money. My wife has got it taken care of, and I'm just here to support her. And he just didn't get it. Like, that is many men. Many men in today's society. And you can say to them, I need you to be more available to me. I need you to talk about your emotions. And some of them are just not capable of getting there or doing that. So I'm not saying Barry is free of all guilt in this whole divorce, but I thought that was a little dig that she had to throw in there. It's forcing him to step up to be a good parent, and that's good. Yeah. Ooh, ouch. And then right around this time, so it's the beginning of the video, I am not going to splice it in here, but she sits on the bed. Again, we go back, and I wrote on here, again, the skirt. She can't get her legs together appropriately because the skirt is so short, and by the time she sits down, it's like completely riding up, and I don't know. It was just a grossly uncomfortable view of Kim that we didn't need to see. Okay, so we go from her condescending mark of it is forcing Barry to step up and be an involved parent, which is good, to her getting on her high horse a little bit about the fact that people, I don't know if she's reading things online or if she's hearing things from her kids, but apparently people are giving Barry kudos for filling the gap. Because Kim left. She left her kids, moved to another place, and gets visitation with them. They don't live with her, they live in their home with their dad. And this is what Kim says. I'll read it verbatim. She said, you know, I've done all these things for 25 years, managed the household, and now, all of a sudden, he steps up and does a little bit.
What did you say?
And he gets all the praise and credit because, wow, here's a really great dad taking a little bit of interest in the children.
You know what? I don't like the sarcasm.
Whereas a mom does that faithfully for 25 years and gets no recognition.
No recognition whatsoever, huh?
On the surface, the concept that mothers don't get recognized as much as they should, or sometimes don't receive as many accolades or praise or thank yous, and that goes with the territory, right? I know. I've raised 3 kids of my own. How often did I get, "You're a great mom"? I remember the times that my husband would say to me, "Hey, that was a great thing that you did for them. You're a great mom." I mean, I can count on one hand how many times in their life that it happened, but so they were significant when they happened. But I didn't do the job for accolades. I didn't do the job for praise. Watching them grow up, watching them just give me hugs, watching them say I love you at the end of the day, watching them succeed, watching them achieve things, all of that makes my heart explode with joy. That's my reward. That's my payback. I don't need somebody always giving me claps and accolades for what I'm doing. I'm doing it because it's like a service. It's my service, and it's my joy to serve. She's acting like being a mother is not a joy to her, that it was an effort and she received no accolades for it. And now Barry is getting accolades. Well, yeah, why is Barry getting accolades? Barry's getting accolades because his wife just picked up and left him. He's devastated. He never saw it coming. He's brokenhearted. He didn't want the divorce. She's gone. And he now, on top of working full-time, is raising all the little girls by himself. One of them's a boy. Isaac's still at home. He's the oldest. But then there's these girls. Well, also, what's her name is still at home too. But she's older and she's out working. And Isaac's out working too. So the other 3 younger ones are his responsibility to take care of. That's outside of the realm of what he's been doing all this time. So yeah, he had to step up, and he deserves some pat on the back for that. He does. Kim, you're not going to get a pat on the back for picking up and leaving. You're not.
I did all of these things for 25 years, managed the household. And now all of a sudden he steps up and does a little bit, and he gets all the praise and all the credit because, wow, here's a really great dad taking a little bit of interest in the children, whereas a mom does that faithfully for 25 years and gets no recognition.
The weird part about this episode is that the girls were talking in the bedroom, and he's now in the kitchen. So the girls go to the kitchen. He's like, "Oh, hi, did you have a good time and all that?" And she knows he's in there, and she sees the girls in there, and she just walks by the kitchen and goes outside. But she had to talk to Barry. So standing literally on the other side of the door to outside, she doesn't wait till she gets in her car. She doesn't drive away and then call him. She stands outside the front door and gets the phone and calls Barry, knowing that the 3 girls are in there. So now the 3 girls are aware that their mother never said goodbye, their mother never acknowledged their dad, and now their mom is calling their dad. And she literally 5 seconds ago stepped outside the door. It's all so awkward and wrong that I was uncomfortable with that whole situation. My heart felt for those girls because they see this they're not dumb. They see this going on and they're like, yeah, mom didn't even say anything. She just left and now she's calling dad. But what's even sadder and weirder, if you will, is the fact that the camera showed one of the girls in her bedroom, and looking out the window, you can see Kim standing right there on the porch. So their mom was on the porch talking to their dad on the phone. What was going through her mind? That poor girl she had to have had so many questions about why? Why? And you know what? I have the same questions. Why? What is so horrible about your ex-husband of 25 years that after you left him, you couldn't just talk for the sake of the girls and be friendly to each other and have a conversation? And the kicker was, I'm thinking it's some mega conversation, which she didn't want in front of it's about the cell phone. That's it.
That's it? Yeah, that's it. That's it.
This big conversation that she could not have in person was about Amber getting her cell phone at age 14 when the rest of the kids got their cell phones at age 16. And yet, she admitted in her talking head point, and he admitted too, that they both agreed to this already. She even said, Barry's on board, I've talked to him about it. She's going to get a phone earlier because of the divorce. And because of her, Amber, being away from the other parent, they're giving her the cell phone earlier. There was no big conversation to have. As they were talking, she's like, so you're okay with this again, right? And he says, yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm concerned about social media and those kind of things. I don't think she should be on that. And Kim's like, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. And they said, okay, bye. I mean, I thought there would be something like, hey, I just found this website and it's called this, and we can download this app on their phone. It prevents her from seeing this. What do you think about that? There was no like logistical walkthrough of anything. It was the most benign conversation ever. And Kim had to do it outside the door and make everything uncomfortable and awkward for everyone, especially those girls. Barry in his talking head said that he and Kim don't talk to each other that much, that they're cordial and they handle things that they have to handle. But when it comes to Kim, Barry said he's in quiet mode as to talking to Kim about how she conducts her affairs, because it's like talking to a brick wall. Ooh. Barry's hurt. Barry was hurt by the separation. And then Barry was hurt when she said she wanted it to become a divorce. It's still not a divorce. And she is dating somebody that some of their kids already know. That hurts that much more. So how she's conducting herself, I think, refers to just the fact that she's dating. I don't know. There might be more going on. I don't know. But I give Barry credit because I wouldn't stay in quiet mode. I really wouldn't. He's a better person than I am. You know what I want? I want Barry to find a girl. That's what I want. I want him to find a beautiful, put together, strong, Christian, valued girl that fits who he is and the ideals of how he raised his family. And how Kim raised her family too, until she didn't. Kim kind of became Olivia, didn't she? Well, that's a whole nother story. I was writing in chat to people with not in chat, but comments under the last video that I posted, and there's a lot of people that agree. My journey with Olivia and Kim was starting in season 1. I was pro Olivia, pro Ethan, love that, anti Kim, anti Barry. I saw them as evil and closed-minded, and I was all about Olivia and Ethan, and I was on their side. And then as the seasons went on, I was like, I mean, I don't even know. It could have been by the end of season 1. I don't know. But I know as time went on, I don't think so. I think it was closer to season 2 and that. But at any rate, eventually, I didn't like Olivia so much. She started to seem like she was deceptive and that she would hide things. She always seemed to have problems with everybody. And you know what? If you're the person that has problems with everybody, you're the problem. So then it started to switch, and I eventually became anti-Olivia and pro-Kim. So I was like, Kim and Barry, you go. You guys are right. You're doing the right thing. You're doing what you think is best. And she's off her rocker. She's trying to divide the family. Olivia's rotten. Now I'm anti-Olivia and anti-Kim. So It's been a journey for me. We'll see what future seasons bring, but right now, Olivia and Kim both have lost it. So then we cut to Ethan and Micah. They're in a bar up there in Minnesota, and they're getting along, and there's some laughs. Micah seems very relaxed. He seems very comfortable. Ethan is a little bit quieter and all that, but you know that on Ethan's brain the whole time is Olivia and the fact that she's not happy that Micah's there and this division that he has and how he had such a great road trip with his brother. But now it's coming to an end, and the reality is here we are in the same city now, and they can't see each other, and that has to just be so difficult for Ethan. I can't even imagine having to deal with that. And neither of them will see the other person. Well, they will, but we'll get to that. Micah shares a little bit his opinion about Olivia. Watch this.
I came on this trip because I wanted to see Ethan. It would have been fine to see Olivia. She's Ethan's wife.
So what you're really trying to say is...
But I kind of feel like she's slightly selfish and focuses on her feelings and how she thinks more than anyone else. And I personally am not going to be friends with that.
So in the end, as we talked about in the last episode, we know that Olivia said, I just want to have a one-on-one conversation with you, Micah. I don't want my husband, your brother, to be there. I want it to be just the two of us so that we can hash things out. And Micah said, nixay, not going to happen. I only have a half a day left after I visit aunt and uncle, which I made a mistake in the last video. I said grandma and grandpa. It wasn't. It was aunt and uncle that was brought up in this episode. So he was going to be at the aunt and uncle's house, which is where they were driving the cars to, and dropped them off. They probably had dinner. They visited. And then that evening they were going to the bar. Ethan was taken off first thing in the morning, and I think maybe flying directly back home to LA to get ready for his dad and brother to come. So Micah said, no, I got a half a day left with my brother. I'm going to spend it with my brother, but I'm more than happy to spend it with my brother and you. So, come to the bar or come to our aunt and uncle's house, whichever you want. This is how I'm spending my day. And Olivia, in her stubbornness, said, no, that's not going to be. So it was basically a stalemate at that point because they had different ideas of how to connect again. And I don't think he saw Olivia's point of view. Of course, I kind of don't either. But that being said, she wanted to hash it out and make everything. Maybe that's how she deals with everything. Like, let's go talk about it right now. My family has never been that way. It's like we can brush things under the rug for a while before we actually address it. But this is what she wanted to do. Micah couldn't understand that. Micah had a good reason for what he wanted to do. Olivia couldn't see that. So stalemate. Ethan reflects that Olivia's values have changed over the course of time, and he's keeping his mouth shut about them, but this has been a recipe for a miserable life. Yeah. Ethan sometimes makes boneheaded decisions and does boneheaded things, but at other times he has it together. And he's right. You can't live the rest of your life this way. He's had 4 years of essentially what looks to be a not so happy marriage. These are the first 4 years. These are the best. This is the best it's going to be. It doesn't get better than this. Barring a miracle, you're going to have to make some decisions here, Ethan. Micah comes right out at the bar and says, if I were to get married, I would hate for my marriage to look like this. Meaning Ethan's marriage to Olivia. And, you can't argue with them. Ethan couldn't argue with them. But Ethan knows his marriage is bad, yet he, in his talking head, is upset with Micah that he's pointing this out to him. It's like Ethan wants everyone around him to live in denial along with him. Clearly, based on his affect, Ethan is not happy. I have this written somewhere else in my notes, but this whole season, Ethan's face has no affect. It has no emotions. It's deadpan. He looks like a sad little boy who lost his puppy. the entire season, and kind of at the end of last season too. Do you remember season 1 with them? Ethan was always smiling. Like, it was almost uncomfortable that he could never get the smile off his face. He was kind of quirky and dorky and inappropriate and immature. So I'm not saying that was the best version of Ethan, but Ethan was joyful. Yeah. Ethan was joyful. He's lost all his joy. That has been wiped out. I don't want to go as extreme as to say Olivia stole it, but Olivia stole it. I didn't say that. Yes, I did. It ends with Micah saying, well, I hope you can come to LA, and Ethan just saying, yeah. So we don't know how that's going to go, because we know the whole debacle when it came to the whole road trip and the communication that was involved there. All right. We go to Ethan and Olivia's apartment now. Olivia, they're having a conversation, and Olivia is hurt by Ethan and Micah's decision to not meet up with her. And she's pouting. But let's just reflect for a second. Olivia is the one who decided that Micah couldn't step foot in their apartment. This is her husband's brother. This is probably her husband's best friend. This is somebody who is going to be gone within 24 hours. She wouldn't even let him come see his brother's apartment. It's such a childish level of control that it's hard for me sometimes to even believe it.
Her way or the highway?
There are so many times that I think, oh, Ethan is so immature and Olivia is the mature one, but no. No, I mean, I see why they were attracted to each other. They were both naive. They were both inexperienced. They were both immature. They were both young, and they both should not have gotten married. And Barry and Kim tried to keep them from doing that. They saw it. And that's why Olivia hated Kim and Barry. So Olivia says, Micah can't come over at all. And then she makes the demands for where they're going to go and how it's going to be and who's going to be there. They already submitted to Olivia's conditions that he can't come to the house. So they didn't do that. They listened to her. But now she has another demand. Well, now I want to talk to Micah, but this is how it's going to be. And Micah even said, yeah, we can talk, but I'm going to have my brother there as well. And now she acts like the biggest victim in the world. I can't believe you didn't respect me. Olivia, there's consequences to your actions. This is the consequence that came with your words and actions that said Micah can't come over. According to Olivia, it's my way or no way. And then I'm going to pout and I'm going to play the victim. But it gets better. Olivia has a distorted reality of what all just happened, and somehow she's made it Ethan's fault.
That's right.
Ethan tries to get clarification and comes right out and asks her, why did you have to meet with him just one-on-one? She can't answer the question. You know those people who don't have an answer, so they come back with another question? That's what she did. Why did you have to meet one-on-one? Well, why can't we meet one-on-one? That doesn't answer the question at all. Well, let me count the ways why you shouldn't meet one-on-one. Because you're only here for another half a day and I'm his brother. She says, why can't we meet by ourselves? We are friends. Okay, yes, they eventually became friends. But they're really relatives, not friends. And it's Ethan's brother. It's just your friend. Ethan has a right to be with his brother. I don't see how she cannot see this. Ethan said that Micah didn't want to meet with her one-on-one, and right away Olivia snaps because he's scared. Whatever. Sure. Okay. He's scared. No, he's not scared. We're all right. For you, we'll say he's scared. Does it make you feel better, Olivia? And then Ethan, deadpan face, says, I didn't realize how much they don't like you. And she laughs. Says, oh, you don't say. And he goes, no, really. I didn't realize how much they don't like you. He kept saying they. He never said he said they. Twice he said they. So I don't know if he's referring to Moriah and Ethan, or if he's just referring to his whole family in general. Olivia points out at this time that she's been wanting to have a conversation with Ethan about their relationship, and he didn't want to because he didn't want to dig deep, but she said, I feel like we need to now. Ethan agrees. He says, we do need to now. They don't really dig deep. She basically just says, it's over. In one of the Talking Head interviews, Ethan says when they first moved to Minnesota, they were happy, and they were both in a good place, and that over the course of the months that they had been there, that this has disappeared. But the kicker, and this is rewriting history and twisting reality, is that Olivia turns around and blames Ethan again. Like, none of this is about her. She says that you've changed too. Now, we've seen a transformation of Olivia over the seasons here. Ethan started to change with her. He started off very conservative. She was a little bit more wild. We hear that, like, they went off in cars and snuck away and did stuff or whatever before they were married and all that. And so she was a little bit more of a rebel, if you will. But Moriah's a rebel too, and he loves his sister Moriah. You can be a rebel and still be have the same morals and values, but you'd kind of like test the waters a little bit. That's sort of what she was before they got married. So he saw her as like kind of exciting. She still came from the same fundamentalist, Christian, strong Bible-based, faith-based type families. So in terms of getting married in the Christian world, they would be what you would be considered equally yoked. However, over the course of years, as happens sometimes to people, she changed. She changed a lot. According to Ethan, she changed so much. Well, I'll get to it in a second. But the kicker is, in this point, she says, you've changed too. But the interesting thing is, his core beliefs and values and ethos of just being Ethan has not changed. What's changed is his reaction to her. He used to support everything that she said and did. And then he stopped supporting everything she said and did when she started getting more and more extreme and away from what they once believed. Ethan is pretty steady. Ethan is the same. Ethan would still be happy if he just went back to Cairo, Georgia, and lived and worked on trucks. That's who he was before they got married. That's really in his heart and soul who he still is now. So we go a little bit lighter. We cut to California, and we have Micah with his dad and Isaac there visiting. So they get in a car and they drive down the coast to Malibu, and they have a nice vacation rental that they're all visiting there. Micah mentions that Ethan is not there yet, but he promised that he would try to talk about it with Olivia and come out. But again, Micah can't get a hold of Ethan.
Pick up a phone!
Ethan is the worst with telephone communication. Texting, phone calls, FaceTime. He is the worst at thinking if he just doesn't address his problems that maybe they'll go away. He's too old to realize that is not true. It's never worked for him in the past, and yet he continues to follow this pattern. So he's having issues. He doesn't contact Micah and say, listen, I'm still working it out with Olivia. I'm not sure. No updates. Not even a text. Still unsure. Maybe, but not sure. No, but things might change. Nothing. Radio silence. Doesn't answer the phone. Doesn't respond to texts. Ethan's got a lot of growing up to do. Here's Micah's take on what's going down.
I think Ethan will have a fun time here.
Yeah, I think he's going to enjoy this.
We're hoping Ethan joins us. Ethan gave me his word that he'd try to make it out to LA. But I honestly haven't been able to get a hold of him since I left Minnesota. I feel like there's definitely a chance of Olivia being like, no, you already got your allotment of seeing Micah or any of your family. Because she has limited Ethan in the past how much he could see us.
Hey everybody, this is halfway through the video. Do me a huge favor and just hit the like button. It costs nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only thing that might possibly happen is that you might get recommendations for other Plathville videos to watch. Maybe you'll find somebody even better than me.
Don't even think about it.
So hit like, and if you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. Write me a note. Subscribe and write me a note under the Plathville thing saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, just subscribe to your channel. Love, welcome to Plathville. And I'll give you a shout out at the next review that I do next week. That'll be fun. We cut to a talking head with Olivia that shows us a glimpse into her level of maturity in terms of relationships. She said that when they were dating, they got into a fight, a big fight that made it seem like it may almost be a breakup. So again, how many red flags were there? Nobody saw any of the red flags before this marriage, except for Barry and Kim, but nobody would listen to them. So they get into a fight. For some reason, they're 17 hours apart, which I don't understand because I think that they kind of grew up knowing each other's family. So I don't know where she was. Maybe she was out doing a, picture photography kind of job. They get in this fight. Micah gets in his car. He drives 17 hours to go see her, to work it out, to tell her, I don't want to break up. I want to make this work. And then he drives 17 hours home. Her response is, this was so romantic. And all that ended after the marriage. Well, yes. Let me tell you, Olivia, for somebody who has been married for over 30 years, they're not going to keep driving 17 hours to come have a conversation with you for an hour to drive 17 hours back home. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Actually, kind of dumb on his part. How much money did he waste on that trip and time when he could have FaceTimed her? You do the same thing. This is not the 1980s. But he did it. Maybe he brought her flowers too. Maybe it was romantic. I'll give them that. It's not my kind of romantic. I'm more practical of a person. I would have been like, you did what? Is that coming out of our wedding budget? How much does that cost? Did you miss a day of work to do this? 2 days of work? Sometimes I'm a hopeless romantic. Sometimes I'm not. And I guess in this situation I'm not because I don't know. So he did it. Okay, it's fine. He did something loving and to show she's number one in his life. I get that. We'll take it at that. But for her to expect that level of attention and love and fawning over her.
She needs constant attention.
This is where her emotional immaturity comes. She has very unrealistic expectations. Let's just reflect back and realize that Ethan has pretty much cut off most of his family. For a period of time, he cut everybody off. And then he has one or two he's slowly getting back in touch with. But all of that happened because of Olivia and him showing his dedication and love to her. It was never enough. She should have never asked that of him. But even when he did do it for her, it was never enough. Olivia keeps saying the problem in their marriage is that she's curious. She was curious before. She's always going to be curious. And this is what the problem is. He doesn't accept the fact that I'm curious. Curious about what, Olivia? Finish the sentence. I don't even know what you're talking about. You're curious about what? I do not think that all these fights you're having in your marriage has to do with your curiosity. Unless it's an outrageously inappropriate curiosity. I don't know. I don't know what you're getting into. But I'm thinking it's not that bad. According to Ethan, has nothing to do with your curiosity. In fact, he said he's always kind of appreciated and liked the fact that you were curious and that you'd learn new things and that you would teach him new things. He says it's about your core values and morals. Those are two different things. Ethan points out, this is when he actually started to find his voice a little bit, and he says to Olivia that he thinks he's been very flexible in their marriage. And he's been very flexible with all of her changes and how much she's changed over the course of the 4 years of their marriage. Even though he didn't agree with a lot of them, he let her do them. The tattoos, the piercings, the, moving out of state, all the things that he didn't want to do, he did them all for her. But he said one of the sticking points that he has is when it comes to raising kids. And he said, Olivia, when it comes to raising kids, you have no boundaries. And she snaps back, oh, I have boundaries. I think she's talking about something completely different. I think she's talking about, oh, I have boundaries. I refuse to let your family come into my home. Those are my boundaries. I refuse to talk to your family. I refuse to let you talk to your family. Those are her boundaries. She has boundaries put up with her immediate family. She wasn't talking to any of them, except for her one brother. And now, for the sake of keeping the show going, she's made amends with one of her sisters. But she comes from a very large family too, and she doesn't speak to her parents or any of them. I don't know all the details, but we can also see she doesn't talk with any of Ethan's family. So now we have X amount of people, probably a total of 20 to 25 people, maybe 30 people, and she's not getting along with any of them. But you have to think, are they the problem? Or maybe am I the problem?
I mean, why can't you just get along?
In the talking head, for the first time, well, not really the first time, because at one point he insinuated this, but at this point Ethan came right out and said, Olivia has changed in faith and politics. Those are hard ones. Those are hard ones to make a hard right turn on. It really is. So they had the same view on faith and politics when they got married. Over the course of the 4 years, as she has changed her views on faith, she has changed her views on politics. Ethan said he wants to raise his kids to be patriotic. He said Olivia does not want to instill the love of country in their kids.
Oh, hell no.
I'd like to know why. What did our country ever do to you, Olivia? I think our country's pretty great in that you're making a boatload of money on a reality TV show. Can't do that in China. Not happening over in Russia. I mean, what did our country do so wrong to you that you refused to raise your kids to have a love of country? That bothered me because I have a love of country. Politically, I'm really kind of down the middle. So the political thing, when you have an extreme on either side, it's going to be hard if somebody extremes the other way, whichever way you go. But no matter what, I feel like both sides should always have a love of country.
You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag.
We live in the best country in the world. I'm sorry for everybody who doesn't live in America. A lot of your countries are great too. Canada, you're great. I think we have the longest border in the world for friendly relations between countries. But whatever country you live in, you should love your country and think that it's the best. Or even go to the country that you think is better. And that's really what Olivia should do. I'm sorry, don't mean to get on a political platform, but if you hate the country this much and you think it's this terrible, if you're not actively involved in politics and trying to change it, then leave.
Bye.
Bye.
Accept who we are as a nation or go. But he goes on in that line. He says she doesn't want to instill a love of country or of God. Yeah. I mean, that's the end of the marriage right there. You can't have somebody who loves their country and has a strong love of God and somebody who hates the country and hates God. And Ethan said, I don't care about all the changes she's made, but these are the two. He said that there were actually 3 because she was all upset that he wrote these sticking points on a piece of paper where I won't compromise. She made it seem like it was a big deal. And he goes, there were only 3 things on the piece of paper. But in the talking head, he said there were just 2. And Olivia in this talking head gets very upset and says, why does he get to choose how we raise our kids? She's very offended by it. But she forgets that when they first joined together in a union, that was who they both were. So why does he get to choose? Because he's still steadfast. You've changed. Doesn't mean you can't have your own kids. Doesn't mean you can't go off and, marry somebody else or divorce and have your own kids. But it's not going to work. Look at the friction and the fighting that's happening now. There's no children. Anybody who has children know that they're such a blessing. But they don't make marriages blossom. They bring conflict and disagreements, and there's so much to work through. And if you're not together on the main fundamentals of it, it's going to be difficult. And Olivia, looking for sympathy, as the cameras are rolling, says, "You told me that if you knew that there would be issues between you and me and between me and your family, that you wouldn't have kept dating me." Makes sense to me. Makes 100% sense to me. How are you offended by this? They were running along all Pollyanna initially. I don't think they talked through a lot of this stuff, but what they did talk through, I think they pretty much agreed on. And then she's like, "I also want to see the world and travel." And he's like, "Okay, let's do that."
Perhaps blissfully unaware.
Let me just be clear. When I was dating, before I got married, if I had a crystal ball, and I could look in that crystal ball and I could see this guy who I'm in love with, and I could see the future, and it would include strife and tears and arguments and fights and a divide, especially a divide between that person and my family, causing me to have a divide between my family and myself, then yes, I would stop dating that person, even if I was in love. How ignorant to think that you will never be in love again. How ignorant to think that this puppy love / lust that you're feeling when you first meet somebody and get together is going to conquer all of that. If you could see that was going to happen, wouldn't we all say no? I don't know why she was so offended by that. That was a pretty smart comment on Ethan's part. Olivia says that she was born into a family that doesn't accept her now because she's different than them. And that she has in-laws who don't accept her because she's different than them. And she says she's not willing to do that to another person. Okay, that grammar doesn't make sense. I didn't do that to another person. To yourself, you mean? You're not going to do that to yourself? Maybe that's what you meant to say. I'm not going to do that to myself again with another person. I'm going to cut it off. She didn't do anything to these other people, so I don't know. It was, according to this, what she said, it was done to her, that they don't get along with her because she is different from them. I just want to start off saying, number one, if it is true that her family has completely cut themselves off from her and they won't talk to her, that saddens me to no end. No parents should do that for any reason. And I don't know what things she did different. Maybe they were so conservative, and her being even slightly not conservative was enough for them to say, "We cut you off." And if that's true, I'm sorry, Olivia, that's rough. Feel for you.
However,
now your in-laws don't talk to you either. And she said that they reject you. Well, let me just point out that we don't know what happened with her family, but we have seen that Olivia was the one that cut her and made Ethan cut himself off from his own family for a couple years.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And she still has no desire to see anyone in the family, but she was friends with two of them, Moriah and Micah. And as the story goes, as with her family, as with the rest of the family, Barry and Kim, she's not getting along with them either. As I said before, the common thread here is you, Olivia. You have to start looking inwardly and seeing, why do I have strife with so many people in my life?
It wasn't my fault.
It's never your fault.
You said that they don't like you because of who you are, but I don't know I don't find that to be true. I think that's a lie, or maybe her distorted view of the whole situation. You don't want to talk to anybody who you can't get respect from. But you don't really even want respect. You want to be put on a pedestal. You want to be worshipped. You want to be told how great you are. And you do not ever want somebody to critique you.
Can't argue with that.
Constructive or otherwise. If you're not the center of attention and not receiving constant attention, then Olivia, you're not happy. And I have to say, think about it. I wonder how much Olivia was reaching out and showing love to all these people that she has discord with. How many times has she reached out across the aisle, let's get political again, and shook her hand with somebody else and said, I'm sorry for my part of this. I'm sorry we're having a problem right now. When you're ready, I'm ready to talk to you too. No, but you can't. It's her terms. It will be one-on-one. Nobody else will be there. It will be at this location and during this time. And in the meantime, you may not step foot into my home. You know, zero compromise. We go on to watch her essentially just break up with him. She says, I don't see how there's going to be a future in this. I know you need time to think about that. So I'm going to walk out the door right now. Ethan's like, where are you going? And she's like, I'm going to go to the bar to pick up a shift or something like that and then see a friend. And she starts leaving. You know, there was no hug, there was no, and you could tell, and he kind of like reached for her. It was heartbreaking. It was kind of like a puppy dog, like, don't go kind of thing. Ethan says, why does it have to be this way? And Olivia, with the kicker of the episode, says, I've said everything I have to say. Go see a therapist.
See you later.
Why does this have to be this way?
I feel like that's everything I can say. Maybe get a therapist or something and talk to someone else.
Yes, therapist.
That was cold. That was really cold. There is a cut back to some talking heads where Ethan reflects and talks about how he's contributed to the breakdown of their marriage, how he didn't communicate well enough, how at times he used words that weren't kind and that wasn't right. He's still in love with her, and it's sad because he doesn't see how it should be and could be better. We cut back to Malibu. It's a little bit lighthearted. Barry's wearing silly shoes. Micah talks about how his dad's been extra silly lately. It's all kind of hokey, but okay. I'll take it. The other stuff was way so heavy that I'll just take this lighthearted stuff. And it's cute that Barry's really trying to connect more. He realized in this divorce the things that Kim said about him, I think, were true. I think he wasn't as emotionally connected and he was just do my job kind of guy. I think actually, if he was honest with himself, that he's enjoying his life a lot more now. Not that I'm a huge advocate for everyone getting divorced, by no means. This whole episode is like, yay Barry and Kim for breaking up, and yay Olivia. Anyway, that's not what I mean for it to be, but I will say this kind of silly, lighter side of Barry is, it's cute. That's the only way I can put it. It's just cute. It's quirky and weird and goofy, but it's cute. And I just wish there was a quirky, weird, goofy little girl out there. Not little girl, don't get me right. Let me take that back. And I just hope there's a quirky, weird woman out there who is looking for a tall, skinny, quirky man and somebody who loves family. It would be a good match for him. But Ethan arrives, and I was really happy to see that. So all the boys are together, which was the intent of this trip.
He put his big boy pants on. He made his own decision. He said he's coming out here one way or another. Because I know I'm not dumb. Olivia didn't want him to come out here.
He was late. He never communicated with them. Never told them he missed his first flight. Never texted them and told them he missed his first flight. Landed, got a different flight, never told them. Landed, rented a car, or Ubered, I don't know. No, not to Malibu. He probably rented a car for a day. That would be an expensive Uber from LAX to Malibu. But zero communication. He just walks in the door. So weird. So weird. Come on, Ethan, get it together. Learn to communicate, will ya? Please, please, we're begging ya. So the guys are all happy. In the talking head, Ethan admits that he missed his flight because he mentioned that he was getting ready to go to LA to see his brothers. Olivia says, what? You never told me about this. And Ethan's like, oh, oops, I didn't. Can't. I mean, you're making me side with Olivia here, Ethan. What? How could you not mention that you were leaving again? Now, she basically just broke off their relationship, so he has every right to pick up and go, even if he just decided on a whim at that moment, which is what he probably should have done. Listen, this is a lot. We do need time apart. I'm going to go out to LA to be with Micah. He didn't even mention that his dad and brother were there or that this was planned ahead of time. He could have handled this differently. I know part of that is lying or an error of omission, if you will. But instead, he said, oh, did I not tell you? So he's lying anyway, because an error of omission on the wrong side is by not telling her this plan that he had to go to LA. So they apparently have a fight about it. He goes anyway. He gets to the airport in Minneapolis, and he calls her, and he's talking to her, and he's trying to decide. He's just, do I go, do I not go, do I not go, do I not go? He called her, and she basically told him, go, don't go. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything.
Because I'm so over you.
And the boys are all together. That's the end of this episode. But we do see a clip of next week. There's Kim saying, I do love Ken. I know he loves me too. He tells me that. Okay. I don't know. This is very fast because it hasn't even been a year since she decided to leave him. And not only is she dating somebody, but now she's in love with him? I don't know. Okay, maybe. She sounds very much like a 16-year-old teenager falling in love for the first time. And I think she actually admitted that in the coming soon. Like, we feel like teenagers. I'm like, okay, but you're not. You're not. You're a grown-ass woman with many kids and responsibilities. So get it together. But the kicker is they cut away to Ken, who says, I respect Barry's feelings, but I'm ready to take the next step in our relationship. What next step? What does he mean? Move in together? Have sex? What is the next step? I mean, Ken, do you really respect Barry's feelings if you want to move it to the... Because if you respected Barry's feelings, you wouldn't be dating his wife. Just saying. Moriah comes out to Malibu. Apparently she was going to be in LA anyway. I don't know if that's true. But at any rate, she comes out to Malibu too. Ethan's not happy about it because he thought going to Malibu would be a way of escaping his problems. Because Ethan likes to just run away from problems and not deal with them. No such thing as being able to run away from your problems, Ethan. Grow up. So it seems very awkward, and Moriah seems very uncomfortable and indicates that she feels like she should just leave. I hope that doesn't happen. I really don't. I'm looking forward to next week's episode because I really want nothing else than Moriah and Ethan to reconnect in their brother-sister relationship. What do you think? If you watched the episode too, what are your thoughts? Am I completely off base here, or do you agree with anything I say? I'm so glad you stayed to the end. More to come. Watch my sister wives' videos if you haven't seen them yet. And I'll see you next week with another Plathville review. Bye!